Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk, and thank you for watching today. First on the docket, is Lori Vallow going to be charged with murder? Second, Krystal Kenney. That's right, Krystal Kenney from the Patrick Frazee matter. Is she about ready to be released? Third, everybody famous that's in custody wants to go home because of the coronavirus. Fourth, a man arrested for selling the coronavirus cure. Our Pets.com Good Citizen of the Day. Gun sales are booming. And our Dumb Criminal Contestant of the Day. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk, and thank you for tuning in. We hope that you are all safe, exercising social distancing, and helping stop the spread of the coronavirus. Since you are watching this video, first, I want to thank you for watching. Second, if you have not already subscribed to our channel, we would ask that you please do so. After all, it's free. If you want to receive notifications of when we put up new content, hit that little bell. And obviously, and as always, please leave us a message down below about what we discussed today. We care about what you think about these topics. First on the docket, is Lori Vallow going to be charged with murder? Well, as you all know, Lori Vallow had a prior husband before Chad Daybell. Chad Daybell was husband number 5. Well, her previous husband, Charles Vallow, 62 at the time of his untimely death, had filed for divorce from Lori Vallow. And apparently, old Charles came to the house one day, and the brother of Lori Vallow was present. His name was Alex Cox. There was an argument that ensued, and Lori's brother, Alex Cox, and Charles Vallow got into a fight, an argument, and ultimately Charles Vallow winds up deceased. Police initially sided with Alex Cox in this particular investigation, but they reopened their investigation into the Charles Vallow shooting as a result of Lori Vallow's conduct in the case regarding her missing children. Now, we've talked about earlier, Alex Cox, the brother of Lori Vallow, also died under mysterious circumstances in December of 2019 at the age of 52. His death is also under investigation. Now, Lori Vallow was never publicly named as a suspect in her ex-husband's death, but according to an email sent on March 24th by the Phoenix police detective by the name of Nathan Moffat to someone familiar with the case, that could soon possibly change. Now, this email was sent by an unnamed recipient, states in part, quote, "We continue to work on Charles' case and are confident we are getting closer to getting Lori indicted for her involvement in Charles' death." Seems like everybody has ex-wives running all over the place, but Charles Vallow also had an ex-wife, and she says that basically Charles Vallow was a peaceful guy, and frankly, if he was going to attack somebody with a baseball bat, he probably would have killed them because he used to play baseball in college. But in this particular case, Alex Cox, the brother of Lori Vallow, was completely fine. Now, maybe she will not get the Best Stepmother of the Year award, like she may not get the Best Mother of the Year award, but apparently Lori Vallow waited some 32 hours before casually telling Charles Vallow's children via text message that her father had passed away. She then apparently ignored the frantic text messages by Charles Vallow's children trying to find out information for some 4 days as well. Weeks after Charles' death, Lori moved her children from Arizona to Idaho, where her soon-to-be husband, Chad Daybell, lived with his then-wife, Tammy. Now, Tammy Daybell was found dead under mysterious circumstances on October 19th, and it was alleged that she died of natural causes and passed away in her sleep. Her body has since been exhumed, and an autopsy is being done to determine if there's something nefarious as it relates to her cause of death. The investigation opened up shortly after Chad's quick marriage to Lori Vallow, while, of course, the search for her own children was ongoing. When asked about the email from the detective with the Phoenix Police Department, their official response was they really don't want to speculate on the content of the email, and the official word is that the investigation is still ongoing. All defendants that we discuss here on Crime Talk are obviously given the presumption of innocence until and unless they are actually convicted. But we've said it before and we'll say it again. Lori Vallow is literally the Black Widow. Everyone around her winds up dead. Perhaps that's the reason why Chad Daybell is not helping further to post her bond and why she still remains in custody. Perhaps he has come to the realization that it's dangerous to be around Lori Vallow. We'll continue to see how things go, but I think that the matter in Idaho is quickly going to be just one of many legal issues that Miss Vallow has in the future. Next on the docket, yes, Krystal Kenney. Is she about ready to be released? Well, let's see. As you may recall, Krystal Kenney was recently sentenced for her participation in the death of Kelsey Barrett. Krystal Kenney was the nurse who was an on-again, off-again girlfriend of Patrick Frazee, even though he had a child with Kelsey Barrett. Patrick Frazee was convicted of killing Kelsey Barrett and basically disposing of her body. Krystal Kenney was asked on numerous occasions and basically took some substantial steps to participate in the demise of Kelsey Barrett. However, she chickened out. But once she received the call from Patrick Frazee, she drove from Idaho to, quote, clean up this mess that Patrick Frazee said she had to do. She had very good legal advice. She cut a sweetheart deal with the prosecution in this particular case. She pled to one count of tampering with evidence, a Class 6 felony here in the state of Colorado. Now, although she agreed to an aggravated range, that sentence only exposed her to a maximum of 3 years in the Colorado Department of Corrections and a 1-year mandatory period of parole. Well, if most people don't know much about the calculation system in the criminal justice system, let's say, for example, Krystal Kenney received a 3-year sentence for her participation. Since this was a non-violent crime under the sentencing statutes here in Colorado, Krystal Kenney is eligible for parole at 50% of her sentence, which is only 18 months. Well, what's even more shocking, and most people don't realize, is that she could be eligible for a community corrections program, well, now. And so a lot of people may wonder, what is community corrections? Community corrections is what a lot of times people refer to as a halfway house. They're still technically a prisoner of the Colorado Department of Corrections, but they are allowed to serve their sentence outside of the confines of the Department of Corrections. They can work. They can see family members. They have lots of freedoms that they have, but they must reside in the residence, usually for at least the first 6 months. They have to have a job. All their money goes into a bank account. Their expenses are taken off. And if there's anything left over, they can use that. If they violate for any reason, they don't show up on time, they don't follow the rules, i.e. don't clean their rooms, get in any kind of misconduct, you name it, then they're shipped back to the Colorado Department of Corrections. They could also go, once they are usually in the community corrections program, they can go what they refer to as non-residential, which is they can go home, maybe have an ankle monitor on them, maybe not, but they are ultimately eligible for that program. Now, some people can be sentenced directly to the Colorado Department of Corrections at the time of sentencing. This was an option, actually, that the court had in this particular case, and the court obviously did not feel that Krystal Kenney was an appropriate candidate for community corrections, hence the Department of Corrections sentence. If a prisoner receives a direct sentence to community corrections, same rules apply. You're usually there, say, the first 6 months, then you go non-residential. But if you screw up, you go straight to the Department of Corrections and you serve out the rest of your time. The benefit of serving a direct community corrections sentence is you're serving your sentence, but when you're done, you're done. There's no mandatory period of parole afterwards. Now, needless to say, the district attorney who prosecuted the case against Krystal Kenney is not pleased and is strenuously objecting to any community-based alternatives for Krystal Lee Kenney. Additionally, the Barrett family has issued a statement saying that it is not appropriate for Krystal Lee Kenney to be placed in a community-based program, basically stating that Kelsey Barrett would still probably be here today if Krystal Lee Kenney had notified the police of Patrick Frazie's intent to kill Kelsey Barrett, and that she still had the opportunity to do that, and she failed to do so. Additionally, the fact that she also participated in the cleanup and cover-up of the death of Kelsey Barrett, the continues lies, and as the court stated, a cold and calculated, cruel event that any sort of sentence to community-based sentence would be completely inappropriate, and it would minimize the depravity of her actions. I personally don't think that Miss Barrett is going to get community corrections, but you never know. And everybody's trying to get out of prison these days based on the COVID-19 or the coronavirus, which leads us into our next topic. Everybody famous wants to get out of custody because of the coronavirus. Well, let's take a look. The other day, we talked about Takashi 69, who is scheduled to be released from federal prison based upon his cooperation and testifying against other gang members so that he can get an early out. Apparently, Takashi 69 suffers from asthma, which is an underlying condition that could basically exacerbate the whole problem with the coronavirus. Mr. Takashi 69's attorney filed a motion asking that he be released, but the judge denied Takashi 69's request for an early release. Takashi 69 may still have a chance to do so because Mr. Takashi 69 is in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And for those of you who do not know, there are 146,000 inmates spread across 122 facilities nationwide being held by the Bureau of Prisons. 21,000 of those inmates are incarcerated in private facilities, and roughly 10,000 inmates are now over the age of 60 and have an underlying pre-existing medical condition that would possibly affect their early release. So with the coronavirus going around, Attorney General Barr directed the Bureau of Prisons to increase the use of home confinement among older inmates with underlying conditions as a means to mitigate the spread of the coronavirus within the country's prison system. To date, about 10 federal prisoners as well as 8 staff members have tested positive for the coronavirus. The Bureau of Prisons basically said that they are going to consider their discretionary factors that they can consider as to who will be released. Obviously, nobody wants to be in prison. Some people need to be in prison. Some people will never get out of prison regardless of a national health crisis that's taking place. But I can assure you, and I've said this before, it's always about the money. The Bureau of Prisons has a duty, obviously, to take care of these individuals and provide them medical treatment if they, in fact, become sick. So it is much less expensive for them to release these individuals and have them seek medical attention on the outside rather than the Bureau of Prisons to do that. Now, maybe that's just me being jaded, or maybe that's just me dealing with the criminal justice system for some 25 years now. I can tell you I had a client that we said was ill years and years ago. He shouldn't be sent to prison. Well, guess what? He had to have open heart surgery while in prison, and as soon as once they ultimately gave him that surgery, which they begrudgingly had to pay for, they immediately released him on parole under a humanitarian exception. Why? Because his medications were so expensive afterwards. So maybe it's just me being jaded, but I think the Bureau of Prisons will get rid of as many inmates as they can because they don't have the medical resources to take care of people if, in fact, they get sick. It doesn't mean everybody's getting out of prison. Simply not going to happen. The other famous person who wants to get out of jail was R. Kelly. Now, he's facing charges in 3 jurisdictions, and he wants to get out for fear of coronavirus. The judge has not ruled yet on his petition, but I would expect that to be denied based upon the underlying allegations in the case, as well as the fact that he is a danger to the community and a flight risk, which a federal magistrate has found not once, but on 2 occasions. So we will just have to wait and see. Next on the docket, a man has been arrested for selling the cure to the coronavirus. Can you imagine what a travesty of a mockery of a sham to stop this? Oh, well, it turns out it's probably fake. That's right. Keith Lawrence Middlebrook, a 53-year-old man from California, apparently had a couple of small parts in a few movies, but apparently has never really done much of anything, and he has about 1 million followers on his Instagram account. Well, apparently he claimed that he has created a cure for the COVID-19 and tried to drum up investors in his bogus company by saying that NBA great Magic Johnson was on board. Where it really gets good is that Middlebrook claimed he personally developed a patent-pending cure and treatment for the virus, even though health officials have said there is no known vaccine or treatment for the illness. So imagine that. This guy with no apparent training in the medical field found the cure. That's right, pretty unbelievable. In fact, prosecutors found it pretty unbelievable, and I think a jury is going to find it unbelievable. According to police reports, this Mr. Middlebrook was nabbed during a meeting in which he delivered the purported pills to an undercover agent who was posing as an investor. And Mr. Middlebrook was looking for some $300,000 for an investment, and that would yield some $30 million is what he was promising. He also mentioned that he had an investor in Dubai who was willing to pay $10 billion for the company. Obviously, Middlebrook is either A, stupid, B, completely greedy and trying to profit from people's fears, or C, just a con man, or perhaps a combination of D, all of the above. Needless to say, Mr. Middlebrook chose very, very poorly, and he is going to prison. We'll continue to follow this case just to see what Mr. Middlebrook simply has to say for his plan to save the world at a mere $300,000. Next on our Pets.com Good Person of the Day, we want to talk about Team Cole. Cole is a deaf dog, and he is a certified therapy pit bull, and he likes to cuddle at his owner's elementary school where he teaches as a music teacher. Chris Hanna takes the Team Cole project to spread awareness and kindness throughout the world. Now, since the restriction of the nursing homes as a result of the coronavirus, Team Cole got creative in maintaining their turnout on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And the Team Cole also does their Bedtime Stories with Cole playlist. And Team Cole is also continuing to go to nursing homes, obviously with no one-on-one contact. But just shows you people can be good and they're not trying to take advantage of other people. It kind of restores your faith in humanity just a little bit. Now, there's been lots of articles these days about the increased sales of guns in America for obvious reasons. I happened to go by a gun store this weekend and noticed that the ammo was literally sold out. There was literally nothing there, and apparently had been restocked and picked over within about 30 minutes. What was even more interesting was the people waiting some 2 hours for the wait to purchase a firearm. And we're not talking about the background check that was being conducted instantaneously. That was how long it took for the line to see a salesperson because so many people were buying weapons. When I asked individuals that worked at the store, are those first-time gun buyers or are those just people stocking up for the big Coronageddon? And they said it was predominantly first-time gun buyers. So it just shows, ladies and gentlemen, everybody wants to take away other people's rights. And that's a really fine and good thing, but you never know when you may want to exercise those rights yourself. So I get it. Some people don't like guns. Other people love guns. They should always be used responsibly because they are dangerous, no doubt. But just like we wouldn't want to take away someone's First Amendment rights or we wouldn't want to take somebody's Fourth Amendment rights, which prohibits unreasonable searches and seizures, or your Fifth Amendment right to be compensated for property taken by the government, we also shouldn't want to take away people's Second Amendment rights. You never know when you may want to exercise it, and to take it away from somebody else because you don't like it is never appropriate. So, just our little good service, let's support the Constitution moment of the day. Now, our last matter on the docket today is that of Jariah Raheem Wallace. Now, Mr. Wallace was having a bad day. He was arrested for a traffic stop and sought to dispose of some narcotics that were apparently on his person. What the dash cam was able to capture was that Wallace eating a bag of drugs that he had pulled from his butt. That's right, his anus. Apparently, Mr. Wallace proceeded to eat the drugs. When confronted by the sheriff deputies as to what he was trying to eat, he denied any of it. Of course, he then had to spit the drugs out in front of the cop. The police recovered what was spit out. They swabbed the defendant's mouth, was tested positive for cocaine. The baggie of drugs was ultimately sent for testing. Mr. Wallace was charged with cocaine possession, providing a false name to police officers, and tampering with physical evidence. It's unclear whether the cocaine was powder or in a crack form, but Mr. Wallace, as being the butt crack contestant of the week, is our dumb criminal contestant of the day. So, as you may recall, our dumb criminal contestants of the day for this week have been the gentleman who stole toilet paper from his job as a janitor from the hotel. We have the neighbor that was asked to turn down his stereo system and then attacked the neighbor or attempted to attack him with a ninja sword. We had the young Mr. Jancic, who apparently was having a pretty good day, having sex at the beach in his car, and then his girlfriend, who took a little pee, dabbed on the pee napkin and threw it at him or somehow touched him and choked her out because of it and got arrested. And then obviously Mr. Wallace today, our butt crack winner of the week. Well, guess what? I think let's see a show of hands. Who thinks Mr. Wallace should be our dumb criminal contestant of the week? That's right. I do too. All right. Pulling crack, assuming it's crack, possibly crack, maybe it's powder. He pulled it from his butt crack. He is the winner. And to do it in front of the police, at least in the car where there's a dash cam going on, not too smart, and then to deny it, he just looks stupid. It was a stupid thing to do. Selling drugs, even the dumber things to do. Putting it in your ass, the dumbest thing ever. Mr. Wallace, congratulations. You're the butt crack dumb criminal contestant of the week. Contact me. We'll send you a Crime Talk mug. And if you'd like to have a mug without having to become a dumb criminal contestant, simply go down to the links below, go to Teespring, and you can get your Crime Talk gear. Have a great week. Have a safe weekend. Stay at home. Wash your hands, social distancing, all that good stuff so that we can get back to normal. It will come sooner as long as everybody does their part. Have a great day.